Inflation. Inflation is the talk of the day. At the end of the day, who cares though? We know inflation is going to be high. We know it's going to be an inflationary decade. We know going forward, we're going to have tons of inflation. This is obvious. When you have to print currency, when your government has to print massive quantities of currency, guess what? You're going to have inflation. Here we are, United States, $31.5 trillion in debt, running almost a $1.5 trillion deficit each year. And this is going to keep going up. I just got my haircut earlier today. I was just telling my barber that, somebody's been talking politics and history for 20 years. I told him we're going to see $5 and $10 trillion a year deficits by the end of the decade, probably. That's what's going to happen. You have to keep printing currency in order for this Ponzi scheme to keep going forward. As Max Kaiser says, you can't taper a Ponzi. So when he talks of a debt ceiling coming down or austerity, cutting things, stuff like that, good luck. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Cut people's Social Security, Medicare, and all that? No. You're going to pay them out what they're owed, but in cheaper dollars, meaning inflation is going to be running hotter and hotter and hotter. Things will cost more and more money, more and more currency, but they'll get your $2,000 a month you were owed 40 years ago when you started, 50 years ago, but it's going to buy you zero. That's the game being played. Inflation is the game. Central bankers are the root of evil. Money itself is not evil. It's just a tool. Central bankers, what you do with money, for the love of money, is the root of evil. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note, seen as a proxy for global borrowing costs, approached 3.8%, a level not seen in more than a month, as we have been noting here and watching here closely every day to see where we're being led. As investors adjust their portfolios for a higher terminal rate, the closely watched U.S. CPI reading for January landed at 6.4%. And the markets didn't know how to take it, jumped all over the place. So the market was jumping all over the place, up and down, didn't know what to take of it. It was like, oh, we don't know what to do. It's not high, really, it's not low. It's just kind of the same. We don't know what to do. Just classic. But again, the devil's in the details. As we say all the time, we want to see what is actually happening to the U.S. 10-year Treasury. And it's continuing to kind of bump higher. Like we said, almost at 3.8%. And it's flirting with it. So what's going to continue happening? Who's going to come in and start buying these bonds up and getting these rates back down? That is the story of the day, because the free market's saying, hey, I'm selling all these bonds. The bond price is going down, so yields are going up. They're getting into cash, getting into other things and saying, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Oil, like we said, is $79 a barrel. We touched on this as well in a separate video, but I missed this the other day on Friday. I had mentioned in our market update here that, what's going on? Why did the oil jump? And I just missed it. I plain missed it. And this is why. Because Russia's cutting the oil output by 500,000 barrels per day next month in lieu or in response to the Western price caps and sanctions and just the hilarity that's ensuing all over there. The war part is awful. People dying, back and forth is awful. There's no reason. There's no reason for war. There's no reason for any of that to be going on. It's just leaders doing stupid things and really globalists and collectivists driving people towards war. It's no fault. There's no coincidence, like we said many times, that the history of central banking coincided with the history of world warfare. That was the 20th century. The history of central banking coincided with the history of global war, or with the century of global war. So this is what happened. This is why oil spiked on end of last week basically, and it's staying elevated right now. The U.S. 10-year again is selling off, and it continues to stay a bit elevated here. And we'll see where this goes. As I've said now for a little while, we're going to see where this goes in the coming days, the next few weeks. Where this goes, is it going to break out and go to the upside? The yields and bonds are selling off again. That's spelling trouble. That's trouble. That's credit market seizing up. That's bad things happening. So we need to figure this out. I mean, I agree with Larry Lepard, some of these guys. I think the best way probably, there's no good way out, but the best way probably to handle all this is to do the financial oppression and just have higher inflation, run inflation hotter, and just kind of downward stagger, I guess, of the debt to GDP. So we did in the 40s. And that's the only plan. Otherwise, you go into a deflationary depression and things are just imploding and collapsing everywhere. And that's not good, because I just don't think the average person is ready for that. I just don't feel that they are. And who am I to say that? But what it seems like is the average person is not ready. The average person is still ready to be on Super Bowl, UFOs, spy balloons, Chinese water balloons, and Super Bowl's on, guys. Not seeing all the things that are going on, the Epstein client list, Nord Stream pipeline going on, the East Palestine thing in Ohio, natural disaster Chernobyl event going on, or human-made disaster, I guess, all the other derailments going on. We got school shootings going on. Why are these problems? Why are these things happening? Is it because we have mental insanity problems? We have a system that's falling apart and no one knows what to do, so they're freaking out? These are the problems. And this is why we constantly say here over and over again, get Flipping prepared. Get prepared. Food, energy, water, security, firearms, Bitcoin, gold, silver, and community. Building community. Getting these things built out. Being resilient, being independent, so that way you don't have to depend on the system. We all have a little bit of dependence in the system, but the less you can have, the greater freedom you will have in your life. And the more you can sit back and say, hey, my family's taken care of, I'm taking care of. And now you can actually go in and help people. When times are bad, you can go and help people. I just saw more articles about the grid being attacked and people trying to attack grids, lone wolves. There's probably some, obviously coordinated things going on as well. But the grid, guys, there's big things coming. There's massive earthquakes going on, obviously, in the Middle East. We got God-made events, God-driven events. We've got human-driven events. We have to be prepared. It's up to, especially men. Men have to be prepared. That's your job to prepare. People don't want to talk about this anymore. We have a man problem in this world. We have men not being men, and there's cultural or masculine, toxic masculine, whatever. That is what we need. We need men being men, because when you use men not being men, then that allows the men being something else or whatever you want to call it, doing crazy things like these crazy shootings and like the school stuff. You have crazy things going on, crazy stuff that vast majority of people don't believe in any of this stuff. We just let it go on because so many of us are just good people, right? And humans are inherently good. We live in clown world because we continually don't stand up to evil. That's all it is. And that's all of us. We're all at fault to some degree or another. Gold, silver dropped a bit, over the last couple days. So silver has really taken a hit. Gold's down, it's been down just a tad. Because again, you have some of these things like the yields going up. People flee out of like gold and silver, and Bitcoin generally. Like Bitcoin's down a little bit as well, and they flee into either cash or they're fleeing into bonds here, right? So that's why Bitcoin had been down a little bit. Look, it bumped up again though today. What did we miss though so far? Forex. Oh yeah, DXY. So the DXY is at 103. So again, the DXY hasn't moved too much. Let's see, it's been kind of flat here over the last week or so. So again, we got to watch these things, and that because we talk about these three: the 10-year yield, oil, and the DXY. And then we have global kind of liquidity markers, which are Bitcoin, gold, and silver. So we got to watch these things very clearly. So keep an eye on what's going on here. Like we said, we touched on Russia. We touched on some of the other incidents going on, some mental obfuscation going on, just the cognitive dissonance, not being able to hold opposing opinions in our head. Why are we having all these problems? And again, we've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel here, and building community and being around like-minded people and standing up for truth and reality. That's what we're going to do here. We're not going to always get it right. I missed the little the oil spike because of Russia the other day. We're not going to always get it right. Trust but verify. We're building a community of like-minded people that can do their darndest to promote truth and reality. And that's what we're missing, unfortunately, in the world. We're missing truth and reality. We live in a postmodernist society where opinion rules, right? Emotions rule over fact. That's not a recipe for success. That's not a recipe for humans to advance. Now, that kind of plays right into the globalist theories of they want to get rid of a lot of humans. So we're in a very interesting time, right? We're in this globalist time of we want less humans, CBDCs, chips in your skin, CBDC, Fed coin, slavery coin, and these digital coins in government where they control every aspect of your life. As Jim Rohn says, I'll leave you with this. As Jim Rohn says, well, I want to be secure and safe. He's like, sure, great, wonderful. We'll put you in the corner, put a blanket over your head, give you 3 meals a day, give you water. It'll be wonderful. You'll probably live 100 years safe and secure in the corner. And the guy says, what do you mean? What kind of life is that? He's like, exactly. What a life is that? Better live 30 years of adventure than 100 years safe and secure in the corner. Friends, we have a cultural problem, right? We're at war. We're at war, mind war, psyop wars, cyber wars, bio wars. We have a war on all fronts. And if you don't think you're at war, the other side does. The devil does. The devil knows he's at war, and he's at a war with all of us. So what are we going to do to get better every day? I do believe at the end of the day, we are tested. We are all tested. We are tested to do what is right. Tested to use the talents and abilities that God, higher being, has given us. Are we using those to the best of our abilities? Or are we more worried about our fantasy football team and our sporting events than doing what's right, than getting prepared, taking necessary steps to prepare ourselves, our family, get independent, get free, and be rid ourselves of the dollar for the love of money, doing things just because my paycheck might not come, doing things for the love of money, doing things just because of my job or the paycheck or whatever it is. Are we doing things for the right reason, for truth and reality? That's the cultural war we find ourselves in. We break the money, we leave God, and then we leave a true sound money. We break the money. These are the problems we made our bed, and we're going to lay in it. So how are we going to get out of it? How are we going to get independent, resilient, so that way the good people, the moral, the just, the righteous people can build this back up the right way? Because the ashes, we're all going to be there in the ashes. Who is standing are the ones who are going to build the future. I appreciate you. Market update got a little deep. I appreciate you, your time and energy. It's the most important asset we have. You think someone could get something else, please share it with them. Please, please, please share it with them. This is the only way, is spreading organic, viral messages out to people. I'm not saying this is a viral message, but it's a message I know I'm called to talk about and build community around, and other people need to hear. Humans need to hear this message. And I appreciate you coming here. I feel very honored that you come here and watch this, and then we do this together and build community, because very few, unfortunately. But there's more. It's growing. The masses are starting to wake up slowly. So we need to stick together. Truth will set you free at the end of the day. So I appreciate your time and energy. It's the most important asset we have. It's not financial advice. This is freedom advice. This is why trade your time, your finite time, for anything else other than finite money. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is time, and time is Bitcoin. Everything else is infinite. Gold, silver, it's all infinite. Piece of paper, dollars, grains of sand, blades of grass, it's all infinite. Why would I trade anything else? So let's make that smart trade. I appreciate you more than you know. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.